At dawn on June 6, 1944, the sea roared with the sound of waves and the clang of metal. Beyond the gray horizon, a fractured Europe awaited its day of salvation, a day that history would record as Normandy Day. Among the thousands of men who plunged into the unknown was an American paratrooper named John Steele, a son of Illinois, a simple man with a stoic face and eyes that held unwavering certainty. His C-47 Dakota was cutting through the clouds above the French town of Saint-Mère-Église. The sounds of anti-aircraft fire rose below like the howl of a hungry beast. The plane shook violently, and the pilot shouted, "Jump now!" John hesitated for a moment, clutched a small cross in his pocket, and leaped into the darkness. The sky rained fire, and the white parachutes unfurled like death blossoms in the air. But a fierce wind carried John away from the landing site and hurled him over the very town that was ablaze. He landed on the towering church spire, his parachute entangled in the metal cross at the top. He hung there, suspended between heaven and earth, hearing the soldiers' shouts, the ringing of the bells, and the smell of gunpowder filling his lungs. The Germans fired at every moving shadow in the square, while John remained motionless, almost breathing, playing dead. Those hours felt like an eternity suspended in limbo. He could hear everything but couldn't move. The sounds of the German soldiers below, their footsteps on the stones, the cries of the French villagers. At that moment, he remembered his small farm in America and his father's voice on his last day. "If you are afraid, John, know that fear is not a disgrace, but giving in to it is." As dawn broke, the fires died down, and the Germans left the area. John finally managed to free his parachute and glided silently across the stone surface. His body was heavy with exhaustion, but hours later, when he reunited with his comrades from the 505th Airborne, the light of life returned to him. He had participated in the liberation of the town, and his name became a symbol in the 82nd Airborne Division, the man who escaped death by being crucified in the church. Years after the war, John Steele returned to St. Mary's Eagles, no longer a soldier, but a gray-haired man, standing before the very tower that had almost become his tomb. He looked up and saw a dummy paratrooper hanging there, placed by the town in his memory. He smiled and said quietly, "That night, I wasn't flying toward war, but toward life."